All Emma wanted was to pay for her mom's medicine and earn her dream spot in art school. At 20, she juggled cleaning shifts and late-night study sessions, carrying a weight that wasn't hers, but one she embraced with love. But on that fateful day, when she covered a friend's shift at a luxury hotel, she was mistaken for something she'd never been, by a man she'd never imagined crossing paths with. One of Miami's richest men, arrogant, cold, and blinded by appearances, judged her, humiliated her. Yet Emma didn't bow her head. She walked away in silence, her heart bruised, but her soul untarnished. And what he did next changed everything. If this story found you, maybe it's a reminder that even when the world labels you, the heavens know you by name and see your true worth. Sometimes, the greatest turning point in life begins on the day you're most wronged. If this touches your heart, drop a like, subscribe, and leave your name and city in the comments. I'd love to give you a shout out in the next video. Because here, even the deepest wounds can bloom into blessed new beginnings. The March rain hammered the windows of the tiny apartment in Alapata, a working-class neighborhood in Miami's northwest. Emma Rodriguez rubbed her tired eyes, struggling to focus on the sketches and designs scattered across a wobbly kitchen table. Lightning briefly lit the cramped living room, and the drip of water into mismatched pots competed with the storm's a roar outside. Her phone buzzed, snapping her out of her thoughts. Her friend Sophia's name glowed on the screen. Emma answered instantly, worry lacing her voice. "Emma, I had an accident," Sophia groaned, pain evident. "Slipped on the wet stairs at the metro station. Sprained my ankle bad. Doctor says I'm out for at least a week." "Do you need anything?" "I can swing by a pharmacy," Emma offered, already calculating how much she could spare from her dwindling funds. Her freelance graphic design gigs barely covered the basics, and her mom's treatment ate up the rest. "It's not that," Sophia said, voice trembling. "I can't make the event tonight at the Whitaker Tower. I'm on probation with the catering company, and if I miss this, they'll fire me. My supervisor, Carla, already let 2 people go last week for no-shows." Emma's heart sank. Sophia's job had been a lifeline for both of them, often sneaking Emma into extra shifts to help pay for her mom's experimental treatment for multiple sclerosis. "What am I gonna do?" Sophia whispered on the verge of tears. "If I lose this job?" Emma glanced at her portfolio. Her interview for a scholarship at the Miami Art Institute was in 2 days, and her designs still needed hours of polish. But this wasn't just any event. It was at the penthouse of Nathan Whitaker, a real estate tycoon, in the exclusive Whitaker Tower. "It's a high-profile gig," Sophia continued. "VIPs only. Everything has to be perfect, not just serving drinks, but keeping the floral arrangements pristine, the vibe flawless." Emma sighed, closing her sketchbook. "Okay, I'll cover for you. Rest and follow the doctor's orders." Hanging up, she felt the weight of the decision. Her art school tuition was overdue, and the landlord had already knocked twice that month with threats. There was no choice. Sophia's borrowed uniform, black slacks and a white button-up, hung loose on Emma's frame. She rolled up the sleeves, tied her curly hair into a low bun, and pinned Sophia's ID badge to her pocket, its weight a constant reminder of the risk. If anyone caught her impersonating, both could be in trouble. The last bus to downtown Miami was nearly empty. Through the fogged-up window, Emma watched the city's lights blur, the contrast stark between Alapata's faded storefronts and the glittering skyscrapers of Brickell. The Whitaker Tower loomed ahead, its glass facade reflecting Miami's neon glow. Emma hesitated at the service entrance, heart racing. She'd never been in a place this extravagant. With a final glance at the bustling avenue, she swiped Sophia's badge and stepped inside. The service corridors were a jarring contrast to the luxury she imagined upstairs. Grey walls, fluorescent lights, the sharp scent of industrial cleaner. A stern supervisor, Carla, greeted her with an impatient glare. "You're late, Rodriguez," she snapped, checking her clipboard. Then her eyes narrowed. "Wait, you're not Sophia!" Emma's stomach dropped. "I'm her friend, Emma," she said quickly. "Sophia hurt her ankle and asked me to cover. She called to let you know." Carla's scowl deepened. "Nobody told me anything." She checked her watch, then sighed. "But we're short-staffed. You know what you're doing?" "Yes." Sophia explained everything, Emma lied, forcing confidence despite her trembling hands tucked into the oversized pockets. Carla hesitated, then shoved a tray of crystal flutes toward her. 42nd floor, exclusive penthouse. Mr. Whitaker's already with guests. Be meticulous, discreet, and stick to the floral room unless called to serve. Emma nodded, gripping the tray as she stepped into the service elevator. Her reflection in the mirrored walls showed a nervous stranger, eyes wide with anxiety. She took deep breaths, steadying herself. What have I gotten myself into? The elevator opened to the 42nd floor, and Emma stepped into another world. Italian marble floors gleamed under soft chandelier light, and modern art lined the grey and white walls. Pieces she recognized from textbooks, never imagining she'd see them in someone's home. The grand living room opened to a terrace that seemed to float above Miami, offering a breathtaking view of the city's skyline. Guests in designer suits and glittering gowns mingled, champagne flutes in hand, their outfits worth more than Emma's entire wardrobe. Intimidated, she hurried down a side corridor to the floral room, a sanctuary of beauty. Massive vases overflowed, with rare orchids, imported roses, and exotic blooms, arranged in stunning compositions. Emma, with her artist's eye, admired the florist's precision, recognizing techniques she'd studied in design classes. "You must be the new girl," a friendly voice said. A young man in a matching uniform, Miguel, flashed a warm smile. "I'm handling drinks. You're on flowers, but help serve when needed, okay?" His kindness eased her nerves. "When the chef arrives, it'll get hectic," Miguel added. "Mr. Whitaker's a perfectionist but fair. Just don't enter his office unless summoned. He hates interruptions, even during parties." He pointed to a double door at the corridor's end, half hidden behind a false wall. The next few hours blurred with activity. Emma adjusted arrangements, ensuring every petal was perfect, and occasionally helped Miguel serve drinks to the growing crowd. Her hands shook, terrified of a mistake. While tweaking a delicate orchid display near the office, Miguel's walkie-talkie crackled. "We need fresh arrangements in the main room now." Photographers from Vogue showed up early. Emma grabbed the most elaborate vase and moved carefully to the main room, now packed with Miami's elite. Business moguls, models, faces she'd seen in magazines. Keeping her eyes down, she set the arrangement on a table, trying to blend into the background. Then a deep, commanding voice stopped her cold. "Those flowers don't match the table's aesthetic." Spinning around, Emma found herself face to face with Nathan Whitaker himself, taller and more imposing than his magazine photos. The early 30s. Tycoon had dark hair neatly trimmed, a tailored suit accentuating his athletic build, and piercing eyes that sized her up critically. "Sorry, sir," she mumbled, lowering her gaze. "I can swap it for another arrangement if you prefer." Nathan studied her, his intensity unnerving. "You're new," he stated, not asking. "I've never seen you at my events. What's your name?" "Emma," she blurted, forgetting she was supposed to use Sophia's name. Realizing her mistake, she flushed. "I'm filling in temporarily," she added, praying he wouldn't press further. To her relief, Nathan just nodded, momentarily, distracted. "Take that arrangement to my office," he ordered. "It'll work better there, and bring a white lily display for this table." Grateful to escape, Emma carried the heavy vase down the corridor to the office. The space was minimalist yet intimidating. A dark wood desk, floor-to-ceiling windows showcasing Miami's glittering skyline, and walls lined with architectural models of Whitaker's famous projects. She set the arrangement on a side table, adjusting it meticulously, so focused she didn't hear the door close behind her. When she turned to leave, she froze. Nathan stood by the entrance, watching her with an unreadable expression. "Sorry, sir. I'm heading out to get the other arrangement," she said quickly, feeling oddly vulnerable in the enclosed space with such a powerful man. Something in his gaze, curiosity mixed with something else, made her heart race. "That can wait," he said, stepping closer. "I'm intrigued by you. You don't look like the usual catering staff." He crossed to a small bar, pouring himself a whiskey. "Drink," he offered, raising the crystal decanter. Emma swallowed, confused. Why was the host offering her a drink? "No, thank you, sir. I'm on duty," she said, keeping her tone professional. A faint, enigmatic smile curved his lips, as if her response amused him. "Of course you are," he said, studying her intently. "And I must say, the characterization is spot on. The oversized uniform, the innocent surprise, it's almost convincing. Attention to detail makes all the difference, doesn't it?" Emma frowned, unease creeping in. "I'm not sure what you mean," she said, a terrible realization dawning. Nathan sighed, checking his phone before setting it on the desk. His gaze swept over her, making her feel exposed. "Look," he began, his tone calm but tinged with boredom. "This isn't the first time one of my friends has arranged extra entertainment for my parties." He gestured vaguely with his glass. "This subtle approach is new, I'll admit, but unnecessary. I prefer transparency in these arrangements." The air seemed to vanish from the room. Emma felt a wave of nausea as his words sank in. This man, this arrogant billionaire, thought she was an escort, sent to entertain him. The realization hit like a slap. "I'm not what you think," she said, her voice shaking with indignation and shame. "I'm covering for my friend who sprained her ankle. I'm just an art student trying to help her keep her job." A flicker of doubt crossed Nathan's eyes, but it vanished quickly. "Art student," he said, his tone dripping with condescension. "That's a good story. I almost believed you for a moment. You've got the look down perfectly." He stepped closer and Emma backed up, the table blocking her retreat. "It's the truth," she snapped, tears of frustration welling up. "Why would I be arranging flowers if—" She couldn't finish, the humiliation and anger choking her. Her hands trembled, not from nerves now, but rage. "The dedication is impressive," Nathan said, sounding almost bored. "But I'm not interested in games tonight. Tell whoever sent you I politely declined." He waved toward the door. "Though I admire your commitment to the role." That was the final straw. Humiliation ignited into fury, and Emma lifted her chin, meeting his gaze head-on. "I'm not an actress, not an escort, not some VIP package add-on," she spat, her voice quivering. "I'm a real person, just trying to help a friend." "How dare you reduce me to that? You rich people are all the same, thinking everyone has a price, that any woman would be available for—" Her voice broke, unable to voice the vile implication. "You don't know me. You know nothing about me." Nathan's expression shifted, the smug smile fading. His eyes narrowed, studying her with new scrutiny. "Wait, you're serious?" he said, a sudden uncertainty replacing his arrogance. "You're really not?" Emma didn't answer. A tear slid down her cheek as she summoned the last of her dignity. Turning sharply, her arm caught the orchid vase, sending it crashing to the floor in a spray of water, petals, and shards. Sophia's badge slipped from her shirt, landing silently among the wreckage. "I'm sorry for the mess and the interruption," she murmured, voice thick. "Someone else will finish the job." Without looking back, she fled the office, closing the door with a soft click. In the service corridor, she brushed past Miguel, ignoring his concerned questions. In the elevator, alone, she let the tears fall freely. Never in her life had she been so humiliated, so utterly diminished to an object. Her hands shook as she pressed the ground floor button. In the staff room, she changed quickly, still trembling, only then realizing she'd lost Sophia's badge. Another problem to face. But she couldn't go back. Not now. Outside, the Miami rain had softened to a drizzle, soaking her loose hair. As she stood at the deserted bus stop, hugging herself against the chill, Emma had no idea that this painful encounter was just the beginning, a spark that would ignite a story neither she nor Nathan could have foreseen, one that would reshape two lives that never should have intertwined. Nathan Whitaker stood frozen in his sleek office, staring at the closed door. Emma's reaction didn't fit any script he knew, not the calculated outrage of someone playing a part, nor the resigned pragmatism of a professional brushed off. It was raw pain, real shame, pure indignation. He knelt, picking up the fallen badge among the scattered orchids and glass. Sofia Rodriguez Catering Services, it read, with a photo of a woman who wasn't the one who just stormed out. Doubt crept in. In his years building a real estate empire, Nathan had honed a sharp instinct for spotting lies. People always wanted something from him. Deals, favors, access. He'd grown cynical as a shield, but those tears felt too real. That anger, too, genuine to be staged. For the first time in ages, Nathan felt unsettled. He pressed the intercom on his desk. "Carla, my office, now." As he waited, his eyes lingered on the water and shards on the hardwood floor, light glinting off the broken crystal. Somehow, he sensed he'd shattered something far more valuable than a vase. 15 minutes later, Nathan sat in the Whitaker Tower's security room, reviewing footage. On the screen, Emma pushed a service cart down a corridor, struggling with a heavy tray. In the main room, she adjusted flowers with care, served drinks with trembling hands. Nothing in her movement suggested anything but a woman working hard, with dignity. "Who is she, really?" he asked the head of security, a taciturn man named Carlos. "The badge belongs to Sofia Rodriguez, employed for a year," Carlos replied. "But this isn't Sofia. If there's an issue with a substitute, the catering company can handle it internally. No need for you to get involved, sir." "It's not what you think," Nathan snapped, irritated by the assumption. "There was a serious misunderstanding. I need to find this woman." His tone left no room for argument. Back in the penthouse, Nathan tried to resume his role as host, but his mind kept replaying Emma's wounded eyes. Guests noticed his distraction. "Nathan, you haven't heard a word I've said for 10 minutes. His business partner, Ethan, remarked. "What's up? You're usually all ears for new investments." Nathan mumbled an excuse, pouring another whiskey. The night dragged on, forced smiles, shallow small talk, networking that usually energized him, now felt hollow. By 2 in the morning, when the last guest left, he retreated to his office. The broken vase was gone, but he could still picture the wreckage. The next morning, Carlos entered with a thin folder. "We found her. Emma Rodriguez, 22, third-year art student at the Miami Art Institute. Lives in Alapata with her sick mother. Freelances in graphic design and picks up catering shifts to make ends meet. Clean record." Nathan flipped through the file, pausing at a photo from her social media. Emma smiled beside her artwork at a university exhibit, her eyes bright, nothing like the humiliated glare he'd seen last night. "Where is she now?" he asked. "According to our source, she's likely at the Art Institute for a scholarship interview at 10, Carlos said. "It's a competitive program for low-income students with high academic performance." Nathan glanced at his watch. 9:40. There was time. "Cancel my morning meetings," he ordered, grabbing his jacket. "Have my car ready." Carlos hesitated. "Sir, with respect, maybe let this cool off. She's probably embarrassed. Reaching out now could make things worse." The advice was sound, rational, the kind Nathan would apply to any business deal. But this felt different. "I need to fix this," he said simply. Some things couldn't wait. The Miami Art Institute campus buzzed with energy, students crisscrossing the quad with portfolios, chatting excitedly. Nathan sat in his Mercedes, parked discreetly on a side street, feeling absurdly out of place. How could he approach Emma without startling her or making a scene? What could he say to undo such a gross mistake? At 11:15, he spotted her exiting the main gate. Even from a distance, her slumped shoulders and slow steps screamed disappointment. The interview hadn't gone well. Dressed in simple jeans, a white tee, and carrying a worn portfolio case, she looked young, vulnerable. Nathan hesitated, approaching. Her now after another setback seemed cruel, but as she headed toward the bus stop, he made a decision. Stepping out, he closed the distance, keeping his approach gentle. "Emma," he called softly when he was a few yards away. She froze, recognizing his voice instantly. When she turned, her face shifted from shock to fury. "What are you doing here? How did you find me?" Her questions came in a rush, her body tense, ready to bolt. Nathan kept his hands visible, non-threatening, acutely aware of the power imbalance. "I came to apologize," he said. "Last night was unforgivable. I misjudged you terribly, and I'd like to make it right." Emma stared, distrust radiating from her. Her eyes darted between him and the busy street, calculating escape routes. "You followed me." Her tone was sharp, justified. "You had someone dig into my life. Is that how rich guys like you fix things? Stalking regular people until you get what you want?" "Yes," Nathan admitted, wincing at how it sounded. "I had my team find you because I needed to apologize in person. I know it feels invasive, and I'm sorry for that too. If you want me to leave and never cross your path again, I will." She studied him for a long moment, her gaze piercing. A bus pulled up nearby, but she let it pass without a glance. "Why do you care so much?" she asked finally. "People like you hurt people like me all the time and move on without a second thought." The question caught him off guard, demanding raw honesty. "I don't know why it hit me so hard," he said after a pause. "Maybe because you didn't just take it. You saw me for what I was, an arrogant jerk who assumed the worst. You held a mirror up, and I didn't like what I saw." Emma's eyes flashed. "You saw a woman and assumed she was for sale." She shot back, unrelenting. A group of students passed, eyeing the suited man, talking to the plainly dressed young woman. Nathan felt exposed, a rare sensation for someone used. To controlling every room. "Can I buy you a coffee?" he offered, nodding toward a small cafe across the street. A public place, no pressure, just a chance to talk. Seeing her hesitation, he added, "I promise, after this, if you want me gone, I'll respect that." To his surprise, she nodded slightly. "One coffee, 10 minutes, she said firmly, setting boundaries. "And for the record, I'm only agreeing because my next bus is 20 minutes away." A hint of dry humor softened her words, easing the tension just a fraction. The cafe was a cozy student haunt, with mismatched chairs and affordable prices, a stark contrast to Nathan's usual upscale haunts. They sat at a back table, away from prying eyes. Curious glances followed them, likely wondering why a man in a suit was here. "How'd the interview go?" Nathan asked, trying to start on neutral ground as they waited for their coffees. Emma raised an eyebrow, surprised by the question. Her portfolio leaned against her chair, its frayed edges hinting at its importance. "Not great," she admitted after a pause. "They said my work has potential, but the scholarship went to someone with greater need. Apparently, supporting a mom with multiple sclerosis and working 3 jobs isn't needy enough." Bitterness laced her voice, raw and unfiltered. The barista delivered their coffees, interrupting briefly. Nathan noticed Emma had ordered the cheapest item, a plain black coffee. He'd done the same, instinctively avoiding any display of wealth. "I'm sorry about the scholarship," he said sincerely when they were alone again. "I don't need your pity," she snapped, cradling the mug as if drawing warmth from it. Her fingers, flecked with faint paint stains, marked her as an artist. Honestly, I don't know why I'm here. What do you want from this, Mr. Whitaker? Nathan, he corrected gently, and I want you to understand that last night wasn't who I am. He paused, rethinking. No, that's not true. Maybe it was who I've become, and that's what bothers me. Your disgust showed me something about myself I didn't want to face. Emma sipped her coffee, eyeing him over the rim. So, I'm here to ease your guilt? She asked sharply. To give you absolution so you can go back to your penthouse, feeling better about insulting the poor girl. Her bluntness stung, but Nathan welcomed it over the flattery he was used to. I don't expect forgiveness, he said. I don't deserve it, but I'd like to make amends for the harm I caused. He hesitated, treading carefully. What happened with your friend's job? Was she penalized for you covering? Emma looked away, guilt clouding her face. Sophia got fired this morning. Apparently, unauthorized substitutions are grounds for immediate dismissal, and since I lost her badge... She trailed off, the weight of it clear. Now we're both out of work. At least the doctor says she'll recover in a few weeks. Nathan felt a pang of responsibility. His actions hadn't just hurt Emma, they'd cost an innocent person their livelihood. I can fix that, he said with the confidence of someone used to solving problems with a call. I'll talk to the catering company, explain it was my mistake, and get Sophia reinstated. And that'll just happen because the great Nathan Whitaker says so. Her sarcasm carried a flicker of hope. Your world works like that, doesn't it? Snap your fingers, and everything falls into place. There was curiosity now, as if she was studying an alien species. Sometimes, he admitted, a faint smile tugging at his lips. It's not always a blessing. It's easy to lose sight of the real impact of your words and actions. He sipped his coffee, surprised by its simple goodness. If you could snap your fingers and fix one thing, what would it be? The question caught her off guard. She twirled her mug, thinking. I'd pay for my mom's experimental treatment, she said finally. Her MS is progressing fast. There's a new protocol that could slow it down, but it's not covered by insurance. It costs more than I'd make in a year. Her voice was steady, stating a painful fact without self-pity. The raw honesty touched Nathan deeply. Here was a young woman facing burdens he'd never had to consider, yet holding on to her dignity. Your art? He asked, nodding at her portfolio. Can I see it? Emma hesitated, protective of her work, then slid the case toward him. Go ahead. It's nothing like the fancy pieces on your walls, but it's honest. Her words carried a challenge, as if bracing for criticism. Nathan opened the portfolio, carefully. The first pages held solid digital illustrations and graphic designs. Commercial work, he guessed. But deeper in, he found her true passion. Paintings blending traditional and digital techniques. Architectural sketches reimagined. With organic elements, urban spaces transformed by natural interventions. This is incredible, he murmured, pausing at a series of conceptual designs for an accessible public park. The plans wove in ramps and sensory guides so seamlessly they felt like art, not concessions. You have a rare vision. Technical, skill with emotional depth. The praise disarmed her briefly. Universal design, she explained, leaning in to point out details. It's about creating spaces everyone can use, no matter their limitations, without sacrificing beauty. Function and art don't have to cancel each other out. As she spoke, her eyes lit up, hands gesturing with passion. The guarded Emma faded, replaced by an artist in her element. Why does this matter so much to you? Nathan asked, genuinely curious. Her enthusiasm dimmed, wariness creeping back. My mum's losing her mobility bit by bit, she said after a pause. Every day I see how the world wasn't built for her. Every step, every narrow door, every high counter, it's a barrier that doesn't need to exist. She closed the portfolio gently. I want to build a world where she doesn't feel like an outsider." The silence that followed was heavy, with meaning. Nathan realized their 10 minutes had stretched into nearly an hour. "Thank you for sharing that," he said, "and for the coffee." He hesitated, knowing his next words risked rejection. "Can I make a professional proposal?" Emma's expression hardened instantly. "I'm not interested in jobs tied to your guilt or pity," she said firmly. "If you're trying to buy forgiveness with some token gig, forget it." "It's not charity," Nathan said, keeping his voice calm. "We're developing a new mixed-use complex with a focus on sustainability. Part of it is a cultural center designed to be fully accessible. Your work in universal design would be valuable to our team. It's a legitimate opportunity based on your talent, not our situation." She scrutinized him, searching for deceit. "And you just happen to think of this project now, after seeing my portfolio?" Skepticism mingled with a spark of interest she couldn't fully hide. Why hire a student with no real experience when you could get top professionals? "Because sometimes the best professionals just churn out what's worked before," Nathan said honestly. "Your work shows something rare, genuine empathy and fresh perspective. Our team has technical expertise, but we're missing what you bring." He paused. "Think of it as a paid internship, if that feels better." Emma drummed her fingers on the table, torn. "I'll consider it," she said finally. "But I need to talk to my mom and see the project details, what I'd actually be doing." It was a small opening, more than Nathan had dared hope for after their disastrous start. "Fair enough," he said, pulling a card from his wallet. "My personal contact info. Call me directly when you're ready, not the office." He hesitated, then added, "And about Sophia, I'll handle that today, regardless of your decision." Emma took the card, her fingers brushing it as if it might burn. "I don't know why I'm even taking this," she muttered almost to herself. "Maybe because I need the money. Or maybe, against my better judgment, I believe you're actually sorry." "Both are valid," Nathan said, standing and leaving cash for the coffees with a generous tip. Noticing her glance at the bills, he added, "Consider it a small gesture of goodwill. And for the record, I'm sorrier than I can properly express." They parted on the sidewalk, Nathan resisting the urge to offer a handshake, sensing it would feel too formal after the raw exchange. "Thank you for giving me a chance to explain," he said simply. Emma remained guarded but no longer hostile. A fragile start. "I'm not promising anything," she warned, tucking the card into her worn bag. "And if this is some elaborate game—" She left the threat hanging, though both knew her leverage was limited. Yet her courage to stand her ground despite the odds impressed him again. "I get why you'd think that," Nathan said. "I haven't earned your trust yet." For the first time in years, he felt vulnerable, not in control, an unsettling but oddly invigorating sensation. "I hope I can prove you wrong." With a final nod, he turned toward his car, the weight of the encounter lingering. Emma watched him go, clutching the card, unaware that this moment was the first step on a path that would intertwine their lives in ways neither could imagine. Emma sat at the wobbly kitchen table in her Alapata apartment, Nathan's business card resting beside a cup of instant coffee gone cold. The rain had stopped, leaving a sticky heat that clung to the walls. Her mother, Clara, dozed in a wheelchair by the window, a worn quilt draped over her lap. The hum of a portable fan filled the silence, barely masking the drip from a ceiling leak. Emma's portfolio lay open, her universal design sketches glowing under the dim light of a single bulb. She traced Nathan's card with her finger, torn. The offer was tempting, too tempting. A paid internship with Whitaker Enterprises could cover a month of her mom's treatment, maybe more. But could she trust him? What if it was just a rich man's whim, a way to soothe his guilt? Her phone buzzed, a text from Sophia. "Girl, they called me back. I'm reinstated, full hours. Did you do this?" Emma's heart lifted. Nathan had kept his word about Sophia's job, no strings attached. That small act shifted something in her. Maybe he wasn't playing a game. She typed a quick reply. "Glad you're back. Talk later." Then stared at the card again. Her. Mom stirred, her voice soft but sharp. "You've been glaring at that card for an hour, Mia. What's it about?" Emma sighed, rolling the wheelchair closer. "A job offer," she admitted. "From a guy I met at the catering gig. It's with his company, designing for a new cultural center. Good pay, but..." She hesitated, unsure how to explain the humiliating encounter without worrying her mom. Clara's eyes, still bright despite her illness, studied her. "But you don't trust him," she finished. "You've got a good heart, Emma, but you carry the weight of the world. If this job can help us, maybe it's worth a chance. People can surprise you." Her smile was faint but warm, a reminder of the woman who'd once danced salsa in their tiny living room. Emma nodded, her decision settling. "I'll call him tomorrow," she said, "but I'm setting ground rules. No favors, no pity, just work." Clara chuckled softly, squeezing her hand. For the first time in days, Emma felt a flicker of hope. The next morning she dialed Nathan's number, her pulse racing. He answered on the second ring, his voice calm but laced with surprise. "Emma, I'm glad you called. I'm considering your offer," she said, keeping her tone firm. "But I need details. What I'd be doing, who I'd report to, the timeline, and I want it in writing. This is professional, nothing else." She braced for pushback, half expecting the smooth charm of a man used to getting his way. Instead, Nathan's reply was straightforward. "Understood. I'll have my assistant Lauren send you a contract and project overview by noon. You'd report to our lead architect, Elena Torres, and work with a small design team. The internship runs 3 months, with an option to extend if it's a good fit. Any other conditions?" Emma blinked, caught off guard by his professionalism. "I keep my freelance clients," she said, "and I need flexibility for my moms." "Appointments." "Done," Nathan said without hesitation. "Anything else?" She paused, then added, "No special treatment. I want to earn my place, not have it handed to me because of what happened." "Fair," he said, a hint of respect in his tone. "Lauren will set up a start date. And Emma, thank you for giving this a chance." His sincerity disarmed her, but she pushed it aside, focusing on the practical. By noon, the contract arrived via email, detailed and clear. The pay was more than she'd expected, enough to cover rent, meds, and maybe a few art supplies. She signed it, her hands steady, but her mind racing. This was a risk, but it was hers to take. Monday morning, Emma stepped off the bus in downtown Miami, the Whitaker Enterprises headquarters towering above her. The glass and steel building gleamed in the tropical sun, its sleek design a testament to Nathan's empire. Her stomach churned as she adjusted her thrift store blazer, feeling like an imposter among the suited professionals streaming through the lobby. The receptionist, a polished woman named Maya, handed her a temporary badge and directed her to the 15th floor. The design team's office was a hive of activity, open plan, with floor-to-ceiling windows showcasing Miami's skyline. Architects and designers hunched over tablets, sketching plans for the cultural center. Elena Torres, the lead architect, greeted Emma with a firm handshake. A woman in her 40s with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense vibe, Elena radiated competence. "You're the intern Nathan recommended," she said, scanning Emma's portfolio. "Your universal design work caught his eye. Let's see what you can do." Emma nodded, relieved to be judged on her skills. Elena introduced her to the team. Javier, a structural engineer with a dry sense of humor. Priya, a sustainability expert who spoke in rapid bursts. And Liam, a junior designer who seemed perpetually stressed. "We're on a tight deadline," Elena explained. "The cultural center's a flagship project, accessible, sustainable, community-focused. Your role is to propose design elements that prioritize inclusion without compromising aesthetics. Start with the public spaces. Lobby, galleries, outdoor plaza. Emma dove in, sketching ideas at a shared workstation. Her nerves faded as she lost herself in the work, blending tactile surfaces for the visually impaired with elegant ramps that flowed like sculptures. By midday, she drafted a concept for a sensory garden in the plaza, using native Florida plants and textured pathways. Javier peered over her shoulder, whistling. "Not bad, newbie. You've got an eye for detail." The praise felt earned, a small victory. But at lunch, reality intruded. In the bustling cafeteria, she overheard whispers from other interns. "Heard she's Nathan's pet project," one said. "Some catering girl he pulled out of nowhere." Emma's cheeks burned, but she kept her head down, eating her packed sandwich in silence. Trust, it seemed, would be harder to earn here than she'd hoped. That afternoon, Nathan appeared unexpectedly at a team meeting. Dressed in a tailored navy suit, he commanded the room without trying. "I'm here to check progress," he said, his gaze sweeping over the group. When his eyes met Emma's, he offered a subtle nod. Professional, not personal. She appreciated. The distance, though, her pulse quickened. Elena presented the team's updates, including Emma's sensory garden concept. Nathan studied the sketches, his expression unreadable. "This is promising," he said finally. "The garden's accessibility features are innovative, but can we integrate more interactive elements, say audio guides or braille markers, without inflating costs?" Emma spoke before she could overthink it. "We could partner with local nonprofits for the visually impaired," she suggested. "They often have grant-funded programs for audio tech. It'd keep costs down and build community trust." Her voice was steady, though her hands gripped her notebook tightly. Nathan's eyebrows lifted slightly, impressed. "Good instinct. Bria, look into those partnerships." He moved on, but the brief approval lingered with Emma, a mix of pride and wariness. She didn't want his praise to mean more than it should. After the meeting, Elena pulled her aside. "You held your own in there," she said. "But a word of advice. Nathan's involvement is unusual. He doesn't usually sit in on early-stage meetings. People will talk. Keep your work airtight and don't give them fuel." Emma nodded, her stomach twisting. "I'm here to do the job, nothing else," she said firmly. Elena's nod was approving, but the warning stuck. Gossip could derail her before she even started. As the day ended, Emma stayed late, refining her sketches. The office emptied, leaving only the hum of air conditioning and the glow of downtown lights beyond the windows. She was so focused, she didn't notice Nathan until he spoke. Burning the midnight oil already, she jumped, nearly knocking over her water bottle. "Just finishing up," she said, keeping her tone neutral. He leaned against a nearby desk, casual but still imposing. "Your garden idea was strong," he said. "It's exactly the kind of thinking we need." "Thanks," she replied, closing her tablet. "But I'd rather hear that from Eleanor. She's my boss." The boundary was clear, and Nathan's faint smile suggested he respected it. "Fair enough," he said. "I meant what I said about earning your place. You're doing that." He hesitated, then added, "I spoke to the catering company again. Sophia's getting a bonus for the mix-up, no questions asked." Emma's guard softened slightly. "That means a lot to her," she said. "Thank you." The words felt foreign, but she meant them. Nathan nodded, seeming to sense the shift. "Long day," he said, glancing at the darkening skyline. "Can I offer you a ride home? No strings, just a practical gesture. It's late, and the buses aren't great at this hour." Emma's instinct was to refuse, but exhaustion and the thought of a 40-minute bus ride swayed her. "Okay," she said cautiously, "but this isn't a habit." Nathan's chuckle was low, almost self-deprecating. "Noted." The ride in his sleek Mercedes was surreal. The leather seats and quiet engine a world apart from her usual life. Miami's neon lights streaked by, casting shadows across Nathan's face as he drove. They spoke little, but the silence wasn't uncomfortable. "Why universal design?" he asked suddenly, glancing at her. "Beyond your mom, what drives it?" Emma considered, surprised by the question. "It's about dignity," she said. After a moment, "Everyone deserves spaces that feel like they belong there, not like they're an afterthought. My mom taught me that, how to see the world through someone else's eyes." Her voice softened, unguarded for the first time. Nathan nodded, absorbing her words. "My dad was a developer too," he said, almost to himself. "Old school, all about profit over people. I swore I'd do it differently, but sometimes I wonder if I've lost sight of that." The confession caught Emma off guard. A crack in his polished facade. They reached Alapata, the contrast stark as the Mercedes rolled past faded storefronts and graffiti-covered walls. Emma directed him to her building, a weathered 3-story walk-up. "This is me," she said, unbuckling. "Thanks for the ride." "Any time," Nathan said, then caught himself. "Or, not a habit." His half-smile mirrored her earlier words, easing the moment. Emma stepped out, the humid air grounding her back in her world. Inside, she leaned against the apartment door, her mind a tangle of emotions. The job was real, the opportunity undeniable, but Nathan's presence was a wild card. Could she navigate this without losing herself? As she checked on her sleeping mom, one thing was clear. This path, risky as it was hers to walk. Emma's first week at Whitaker Enterprises was a whirlwind of sketches, meetings, and quiet battles. The Cultural Center project consumed her, its ambition both thrilling and daunting. Her sensory garden design had sparked excitement, but integrating it with the broader plaza layout meant endless revisions. Elena, her boss, was demanding but fair, pushing Emma to refine her ideas without hand-holding. "You're not here to fetch coffee," Elena said during a review. "Show me you belong." Emma took it as a challenge, staying late most nights, her tablet glowing with plans for accessible pathways and interactive installations. Miami's humid mornings greeted her as she boarded the bus to downtown, the city's pulse, salsa beats from open car windows, the tang of Cuban coffee from street vendors, grounding her. But at the office, she felt like an outsider. Whispers followed her, especially from Liam, the junior designer. "She's only here because of Nathan," he muttered to Priya during a break, loud enough for Emma to hear. Priya shot him a warning look, but the words stung. Emma buried her, hurt in her work, determined to prove them wrong. Her designs began to take shape, a lobby with adjustable lighting for sensory sensitivity, ramps that doubled as sculptural elements, and a gallery with braille plaques seamlessly woven into the aesthetic. Javier, the engineer, became an unexpected ally, offering technical tweaks to make her concepts feasible. "You're making me look good," he teased, sketching load-bearing supports for her plaza. Emma smiled, grateful for the camaraderie, but the gossip lingered like a shadow. At home, the weight of her mum's condition pressed harder. Clara's MS flare-ups were worsening, her hands trembling too much to hold a spoon some days. Emma adjusted her schedule to attend doctor's appointments at Mercy Hospital, where the neurologist delivered grim news. The experimental treatment was their best hope, but without funding, Clara's mobility would decline faster. Each visit drained Emma, yet she hid her fear, joking with Clara about old salsa nights to keep her spirits up. The internship's pay helped, but it wasn't enough, not yet. Nathan's presence at the office was sporadic, but electric. He'd drop into meetings, his sharp questions cutting through fluff, his approval carrying weight. Emma noticed how he lingered on her contributions, his nods subtle but encouraging. She kept her distance, wary of fueling rumors, but their ride Ohm had softened her guard slightly. One evening, as she worked late, he appeared with 2 coffees from the cafeteria. "Thought you could use this," he said, setting one on her desk. "Thanks," Emma said, cautious, but accepting the gesture. "Long day?" "Always," Nathan replied, leaning against a partition. "Your lobby lighting idea, it's smart. Most designers would have prioritized flash over function." His praise was measured, not patronizing, but Emma tensed. "I'm just doing my job," she said, eyes on her tablet. "Elena's the one steering this." She didn't want his attention to single her out further. Nathan nodded, sensing her boundary. "Elena's lucky to have you," he said simply, then left. The exchange was brief, but Emma felt a flicker of warmth and confusion. Why did his approval matter so much? That Friday, disaster struck. Emma arrived home to find Clara on the floor, her wheelchair tipped over. "I'm okay," Clara insisted, but her voice was weak. Emma called Sophia, who rushed over to help lift Clara into bed. The doctor's visit confirmed a severe flare-up. Clara needed rest and a new medication, adding to the bills. Emma's heart sank as she calculated costs. Her internship pay stretched thin. She stayed up all night, sketching to distract herself, but worry gnawed at her. Monday morning, she dragged herself to the office, eyes heavy. Elena noticed. "You okay, Emma? Your latest drafts are solid, but you seem off." Emma forced a smile, mumbling about a rough weekend, but Liam's smirk across the room didn't help. During a team briefing, she presented a revised gallery layout, but her voice faltered, and Liam jumped in, pointing out a minor oversight. "Rookie mistake," he said, his tone smug. Priya rolled her eyes, but the jab landed. After the meeting, Nathan caught her in the hall. "You don't seem yourself," he said, concern creasing his brow. "Anything I can do?" Emma's instinct was to brush him off, but exhaustion loosened her tongue. "My mom's sick," she admitted. "It's a lot." She braced for pity, but Nathan's response was practical. "I know a specialist at Mercy," he said. "I can make a call, get her seen faster, no strings." His offer was tempting, but Emma's pride flared. "I'll handle it," she said, sharper than intended. "Thanks, but I don't need favors." Nathan nodded, unfazed, but his eyes held a quiet understanding that unsettled her. That night, alone in her apartment, Emma stared at Nathan's card again. Her mom's cough echoed from the bedroom, a reminder of time slipping away. Swallowing her pride, she texted him, "Can you make that call, just for a consult?" His reply was instant. "Done. Appointments tomorrow, 2 p.m. I'll cover transport." Relief mixed with unease. Accepting help felt like crossing a line, but for Clara, she'd risk it. As she drifted to sleep, sketches scattered around her, Emma sensed the ground shifting beneath her. Nathan was becoming more than a boss or a mistake, but could she afford to trust him with more than her work? The Mercy Hospital consult was a lifeline. The specialist, Dr. Alvarez, reviewed Clara's case with care, adjusting her meds and enrolling her in a subsidized trial for the experimental treatment. Emma sat by her mum's side, holding her hand, gratitude mingling with guilt. Nathan's call had made this possible, but the debt, emotional, not financial, weighed on her. Back at the apartment, Clara noticed her distraction. "Whoever helped us, Mija, don't punish them for it," she said. "Pride's a heavy burden." Emma nodded, but trust was harder to give. At Whitaker Enterprises, the Cultural Center project hit a snag. A city zoning issue threatened the plaza's footprint, forcing the team to rethink Emma's sensory garden. Elena tasked her with a workaround, but Liam's skepticism was relentless. "Her concepts are flashy but impractical," he told Javier during a coffee run, unaware Emma was nearby. "Nathan's just humoring her." The words cut deep, fueling her resolve to deliver. Emma threw herself into revisions, proposing a modular garden design that could adapt to zoning changes. Late nights blurred into early mornings, her sketches piling up. Priya, sensing her strain, brought her empanadas from a Wynwood food truck. "You're killing it," Priya said. "Ignore Liam. He's just threatened by fresh talent." The support bolstered Emma, but the pressure mounted. Nathan's presence grew steadier, his feedback sharp but encouraging. During a site visit to the construction lot, a dusty patch in Brickell surrounded by cranes, he walked beside Emma, studying her tablet. "Your modular idea's a game changer," he said. "It's cost-effective and still hits the accessibility mark." His praise was professional, but his glance lingered, warm and searching. Emma deflected, focusing on the plans, but her pulse betrayed her. That evening, a team dinner at a South Beach restaurant tested her nerves. The group celebrated, a zoning breakthrough, but Liam's snide comments persisted. To Emma, our VIP intern, he toasted, his smirk veiled as humor. The table laughed, but Elena's frown mirrored Emma's discomfort. Nathan, seated across from her, caught her eye, his expression unreadable. After dinner, as the team lingered, over mojitos, he pulled her aside on the patio, the ocean breeze cutting the humidity. "You don't deserve that," he said, nodding toward Liam. "He's out of line. Want me to address it?" His offer was tempting, but Emma shook her head. "I'll fight my own battles," she said. "Interfering would just prove his point." Nathan nodded, respecting her stance, but his concern lingered. The conversation shifted to her designs. "Your work's raising the bar," he said. "It's making me rethink how we approach accessibility across all our projects." His sincerity disarmed her, and for a moment she let her guard slip. "My mom's why I care," she admitted, staring at the waves. "Every design is for her, for everyone who's been left out." Her voice cracked, vulnerability spilling out. Nathan listened, his silence a quiet invitation. "My sister was in a wheelchair," he said suddenly, his voice low. "Car accident when we were teens. She hated how the world treated her like an inconvenience. I promised I'd build better spaces, but I got lost in profits." The confession stunned Emma, revealing a side of him she hadn't imagined. Their eyes met, the air charged with shared understanding. The moment broke when Priya called them back inside. Emma's heart raced. As she rejoined the group, Nathan's words echoing. Could she trust this glimpse of him, or was it another layer of charm? Back at work, the zoning issue resolved, but Liam's attitude worsened. During a presentation, he publicly questioned Emma's calculations, implying she'd overlooked structural limits. Eleanor intervened, but the damage was done. Doubt crept into the team's perception. Humiliated, Emma stayed late, triple-checking her work. Nathan found her, alone in the office, tears of frustration in her eyes. "You're better than this," he said, his voice firm but kind. "Liam's threatened because you're outshining him. Don't let him dim you." His words steadied her, but his closeness, his hand briefly touching her shoulder, sent a jolt through her. She pulled back, conflicted. "Thanks," she muttered, grabbing her bag. "I need to go." She fled to the bus stop, the Miami night heavy with heat and unspoken feelings. Nathan was breaking through her walls, and that scared her more than any office politics. Emma's days became a balancing act. Work, her mom's health, and the growing pull of Nathan's presence. Clara's new treatment showed promise, her flare-ups less frequent, but the costs loomed large. Emma's internship pay covered basics, but the trial's fees demanded more. She took on extra freelance gigs, burning out but refusing to ask for help. Nathan's gesture at the hospital had been a gift, but she couldn't lean on him again, not without blurring lines she wasn't ready to cross. At the office, her modular garden design gained traction, earning Elena's rare praise. "This could set a standard for urban accessibility," she said, pinning Emma's sketches to the board. Even Liam grudgingly nodded, though his resentment simmered. Emma's confidence grew, but so did the whispers. Nathan's playing favorites. A co-worker muttered in the break room. Emma ignored it, focusing on her work, but the rumors chipped away at her. Nathan, meanwhile, made subtle efforts to connect. He'd leave notes on her desk, technical feedback laced with encouragement, or share articles on universal design. During a site visit, he asked about her mom, his tone gentle. "She's fighting," Emma said, softening. "The treatment's helping. Thank you for that." Nathan waved it off, but his eyes held warmth that made her stomach flutter. One evening, as Emma worked late, a call from Mercy Hospital shattered her focus. Clara had collapsed during a physical therapy session, her condition unstable. Emma rushed to the hospital, panic clawing at her. Clara was conscious but weak, hooked to monitors. "I'm okay, Mija," she whispered, but Emma saw the fear in her eyes. The doctor warned that without consistent treatment, Clara's prognosis was grim. The trial's next phase required a deposit, $10,000 Emma didn't have. Sophia met her at the hospital, offering tea and a hug. "You can't carry this alone," Sophia said. "That Nathan guy, maybe he'd help." Emma shook her head, pride warring with desperation. But the next day, back at work, her exhaustion was obvious. Elena sent her home early, but Nathan then caught her in the lobby. "You're not okay," he said, his voice firm. "What's going on?" Emma tried to deflect, but tears betrayed her. Haltingly, she told him about Clara's collapse, the trial's cost, her fear of losing her mom. Nathan listened, his face unreadable but his eyes soft. "I can cover the deposit," he offered. "It's a loan, not charity. You can pay it back on your terms." Emma's instinct was to refuse, but Clara's frail form flashed in her mind. "Why? Are you doing this?" she asked, voice trembling. "What do you want from me?" "Nothing," Nathan said, his tone earnest. "I see what you're carrying, and I want to help. No strings, Emma, I promise." His sincerity cracked her defenses, and she nodded, tears falling. "Okay," she whispered. "A loan. I'll pay you back." Nathan arranged the payment that day, and Clara's treatment resumed. Emma's gratitude was profound, but so was her fear. Accepting his help felt like letting him in, and her heart wasn't ready. Back at work, their dynamic shifted. Nathan's presence felt steadier, his glances lingering. During a late-night review, he shared a pizza, the office empty except for them. "You're changing how I see this project," he said, gesturing to her sketches. "And maybe how I see a lot of things." His vulnerability caught her off guard, and she found herself smiling, sharing stories of her mom's old dance. Dazed, but the closeness scared her. Was she falling for him, or just grateful? The line blurred, and Emma pulled back, keeping their talks professional. Nathan respected her space, but his quiet patience only deepened her conflict. As Clara stabilized, Emma faced a new question. Could she open her heart to someone who'd once broken it? Or was this just another risk she couldn't afford? The Cultural Center project surged forward, its skeleton rising in Brickell's skyline. Emma's designs, now central to the plaza and lobby, earned praise from Elena and even grudging respect from Liam. Her sensory garden was greenlit for construction, a milestone that filled her with pride. At home, Clara's health stabilized, her laughter returning as she watched Emma sketch. The trial's cost was covered thanks to Nathan's loan, but Emma tracked every cent, determined to repay him. Her freelance gigs dwindled as she poured herself into the internship, her work finally speaking for itself. But success bred new challenges. At a stakeholder meeting, a rival developer, Victor Cruz, questioned Emma's role. A sharp-eyed man. With a reputation for cutthroat deals, Victor was a longtime thorn in Nathan's side. "An intern leading key designs?" he scoffed, addressing the room. "This project's too high profile for amateurs. Whitaker, are you prioritizing talent or personal interests?" The insinuation hung heavy, and Emma's face burned. Nathan's jaw tightened, but he kept his cool. Emma's work speaks for itself, he said, sliding her portfolio across the table. Her designs have cut costs and raised our accessibility standards. If you have specific critiques, Victor, let's hear them. Cruz backed off, but the damage was done. Whispers spread, and Liam's smug glances returned. Elena pulled Emma aside after. Cruz is fishing for leverage, she said. Your work's solid, but stay sharp. Nathan's faith in you makes you a target. Emma nodded, her resolve hardening. She wouldn't let politics derail her. Nathan sought her out later, finding her sketching in the office's quiet corner. I'm sorry about Cruz, he said. He's trying to rattle me by targeting you. It won't happen again. His protectiveness warmed her, but she bristled. I don't need you shielding me, she said. I can handle Cruz and Liam. Just let me do my job. Nathan nodded, stepping back, but his concern lingered. Their connection grew despite her caution. During a site visit, Nathan shared memories of his sister, her love for art inspiring the cultural center's vision. Emma opened up about her mum's salsa days, their stories weaving a fragile bond. One evening, as they reviewed plans under Miami's starry sky, Nathan's hand brushed hers, sending a spark through her. She pulled away, heart racing, but his quiet smile suggested he felt it too. At home, Clara noticed the change. You're glowing, Mija, she teased. Is it the job, or that man who keeps helping us? Emma dodged the question, but her mum's words lingered. Was she falling for Nathan? The thought terrified her, yet it felt inevitable. As the project neared its next phase, Emma's designs were showcased at a city planning expo in Wynwood, a vibrant hub of murals and galleries. Her sensory garden model drew crowds, and Elena beamed. You're making a name for yourself, she said. Nathan, attending as a sponsor, watched from a distance, pride in his eyes. But Victor Cruz's presence cast a shadow, his pointed questions to reporters hinting at favoritism. Emma ignored him, focusing on her work, but the scrutiny weighed heavy. That night, alone in her apartment, Emma stared at Nathan's loan agreement, her repayments barely denting the sum. Her heart tugged two ways: gratitude for his help, fear of what it meant. Could she build a future with someone whose world was so different from hers? The answer lay just out of reach, but the journey was hers to navigate. Emma's days blended into a rhythm of progress and tension. The cultural center's construction advanced, her designs taking shape in steel and glass. Elena promoted her to a junior designer role, a paid position that eased her financial strain. Clara's health held steady, her trials showing results, and Emma's repayments to Nathan grew consistent. But the whispers about her and Nathan persisted, fueled by Victor Cruz's snide remarks at industry events. Whitaker's intern is quite the story, he told a reporter, smirking. From catering to Cornerstone, quite a leap. Emma brushed it off, but the scrutiny stung. Her connection with Nathan deepened, despite her efforts to keep it professional. He'd join her at the site, discussing designs with a passion that matched hers. One evening, as they walked through the half-built plaza, he pointed to her Sensory Gardens foundation. This is your legacy, he said. You're building something that'll outlast us. His words warmed her, and when their hands brushed, she didn't pull away. The moment felt natural, inevitable. At a team outing in Coconut Grove, Nathan opened up about his past, his father's ruthless deals, his sister's death, the weight of his empire. Emma shared her fears of losing Clara, her dream of a world built for everyone. Their laughter mingled with the clink of glasses, the Miami night soft around them. When he drove her home, their goodbye lingered, his eyes searching hers. You're changing me, Emma, he said softly. She smiled, heart pounding, but said nothing, afraid of what came next. The bubble burst the next day. A tabloid ran a story. Whitaker's mystery muse, from waitress to designer. It twisted Emma's journey into a scandal, implying she'd traded favors for her role. Liam left a copy on her desk, his grin venomous. Emma's humiliation flared, but worse was Nathan's reaction. He stormed into the office, furious, vowing to sue the outlet. "This is Cruz's doing," he growled. "I'll bury him." Emma, shaken, confronted him. "Did you tell anyone about that night at your penthouse?" she demanded. "How else would they know I was catering?" Nathan swore he hadn't, but doubt crept in. Had she misjudged him again? The betrayal cut deep, reopening old wounds. She distanced herself, focusing on work. Nathan tried to reach out, leaving voicemails, notes, but she kept him at arm's length. Eleanor noticed. "You're pulling away from everyone," she said. "Don't let gossip ruin what you've built." Emma nodded, but her heart ached. Was she punishing Nathan for others' words, or protecting herself? One night, Sophia dragged her to a Calle Ocho cafe, where live music pulsed. "You're falling for him, aren't you?" Sophia asked over café con leche. Emma sighed, admitting, "The truth. But I can't trust him. Not after this." Sophia squeezed her hand. "Talk to him. You'll know what's real." Emma took the advice, texting Nathan to meet at the construction site, neutral ground. Under the half-built plaza's lights. She faced him. "Did you leak that story?" she asked, voice steady. Nathan's eyes widened, hurt flashing across his face. "Never," he said. "I traced it. Cruz paid a caterer from that night to talk. I'm handling it legally, but I should have protected you better." His voice broke. "Emma, I'd never hurt you like that." His raw honesty shattered her doubts, and tears fell. "I'm scared," she admitted, "of this, of us, of losing myself in your world." Nathan stepped closer, his hand cupping her cheek. "You're not losing anything," he said. "You're building something, here, with me, if you'll let me." Their foreheads touched, the Miami night wrapping around them. Emma's heart said yes, but her mind whispered caution. Could she leap, knowing the risks? The construction site meeting marked a turning point. Emma chose to trust Nathan, her heart outweighing her fears. They agreed to move slowly, keeping their growing bond private to shield it from scrutiny. At work, she threw herself into the cultural center, her designs now guiding the entire public space. Elena praised her leadership, and even Liam, chastened by Elena's sharp rebuke, eased his hostility. The tabloid story faded, buried by Nathan's legal team, and Victor Cruz's influence waned as the project gained public support. Nathan proved his commitment in small ways: coffee runs, late-night design talks, and quiet support during Clara's hospital visits. One Sunday, he surprised Emma with a visit to her apartment, bringing pastels for Clara. "My sister loved these," he said, charming Clara with stories of his Puerto Rican nanny. Clara's laughter filled the room, and Emma's heart swelled. This was Nathan, not the arrogant tycoon she'd met, but a man trying to be better. Their first real date was simple, a picnic in Bayfront Park, Miami's skyline sparkling across the water. Nathan shared his fears of failing his sister's memory, while Emma spoke of her dream to study abroad, once Clara was stable. "You'll get there," Nathan said, his hand squeezing hers, "and I'll be cheering." Their kiss, soft under the palms, felt like a promise. Emma's walls crumbled, love seeping through the cracks. But challenges lingered. The project's budget ballooned, forcing cuts. Emma fought to preserve her accessibility features, clashing with Javier over costs. "We can't afford every bell and whistle," he argued. Emma held firm, presenting data on long-term savings from inclusive design. Elena backed her, and the features stayed, cementing Emma's role as a leader. At home, Clara's progress lifted Emma's spirits. "You're in love, aren't you?" Clara asked one night, her eyes twinkling. Emma blushed, nodding. "He's good for you, mija. Let him in." The words freed Emma, but doubt lingered. Nathan's world, boardrooms, galas, wasn't hers. Could they bridge that gap? A new test came at a project gala in Brickell, hosted to secure donors. Emma attended, nervous in a borrowed dress from Sophia. Nathan introduced her as a key designer, his pride evident, but Victor Cruz cornered her, his smile venomous. "Enjoying the spotlight, Ms. Rodriguez? It's a long fall from here." Emma stood tall, her voice steady. "My work's why I'm here, Mr. Cruz. Yours seems to be tearing others down." The retort silenced him, and Nathan, overhearing, squeezed her hand, his eyes gleaming with admiration. Later, alone on the gala's terrace, they danced to a distant band's salsa rhythm. "You were incredible tonight," Nathan said, spinning her. Emma laughed, feeling weightless. "I'm learning to fight for my place," she said. Their kiss deepened, the city lights blurring around them. As the project neared completion, Emma faced a choice: stay with Whitaker Enterprises or pursue her dream of graduate study. Nathan supported her either way, but his quiet hope she'd stay tugged at her. The future was uncertain, but for the first time, Emma felt ready to face it with Nathan, with love, with herself. The cultural center's completion loomed, its glass facade gleaming in Brickell's sun. Emma's designs defined its heart: the sensory garden, accessible lobby, and inclusive galleries earning praise from city officials. Elena offered her a permanent role with a salary that could secure Clara's treatment long-term. But a scholarship offer from a London design school arrived, a dream Emma had buried. The choice tore at her: stability with Nathan and her mom, or a leap into the unknown. Clara's health held strong, her trial a success. "Go to London if it's your heart's call," she told Emma. "I'll be here, dancing again soon." Her humor masked pride, but Emma wavered, fearing the distance from Nathan. Their love had grown, quiet dinners in Little Havana, stolen kisses at the site. But his world still intimidated her. Nathan sensed her turmoil. One evening, he took her to the finished sensory garden, its pathways lit by soft lanterns. "This is yours," he said, gesturing to the blooming space. "You've built something eternal." Tears pricked Emma's eyes. "So have you," she said, meaning more than the project. Nathan pulled her close, his voice low. "I love you, Emma. Whatever you choose, London, here, anywhere, I'm with you." The words shattered her fears, and she kissed him, the garden wrapping them in its quiet magic. "I love you too," she whispered, the truth freeing her. But a final hurdle emerged. Victor Cruz, desperate to discredit Nathan, leaked doctored emails suggesting Emma's hiring was unethical. The scandal threatened the center's funding, and Emma's name was dragged through the mud. Nathan fought back, proving the emails were fake, but the damage hit Emma hard. "Maybe I don't belong here," she told Sophia, doubt creeping in. Sophia slapped the table. "You built that center, girl. Don't let some snake steal your shine." Bolstered, Emma faced the team, presenting her final designs with fierce clarity. Elena rallied behind her, and the funders stood firm. Cruz's scheme collapsed, his reputation in tatters. Nathan hosted a private dinner for Emma, Elena, and the team, toasting her resilience. "You're the heart of this project," he said, raising a glass. Emma blushed, her pride restored. Later, alone, she made her choice. She'd defer London for a year, staying to see the centre open and build. Her life with Nathan, the decision felt right, a balance of love and ambition. As the opening neared, Emma and Nathan stood in the finished lobby, its ramps and lights a testament to her vision. "We did this," she said, squeezing his hand. Nathan smiled, his eyes soft. "You did this. I just got lucky enough to watch." Their kiss sealed a promise of love, of growth, of a future they'd face together. The cultural center's grand opening was a Miami spectacle. Crowds filled the plaza, its sensory garden blooming under fairy lights. Accessibility advocates praised Emma's designs, and city leaders hailed the center as a model for inclusive urban spaces. Emma stood in the lobby, her heart full, Clara beside her in a new wheelchair, beaming. "You did this, Mija," Clara said, squeezing her hand. Sofia, Javier, Priya and Elena joined them, their pride palpable. Even Liam offered a quiet nod. His resentment faded. Nathan took the stage, his speech honoring the team but spotlighting Emma. "One woman's vision showed us what's possible," he said, his eyes finding hers. "She reminded me why we build, not for profit but for people." The crowd applauded, and Emma blushed, overwhelmed. Later she spoke, her voice steady despite nerves. "This center is for everyone," she said. "For my mom, for anyone who's felt left out. We belong here." Cheers erupted and Clara's tears mirrored her own. After, Nathan pulled her to the garden, away from the crowd. Miami's skyline sparkled, the air sweet with jasmine. "You've changed everything," he said, his voice thick. "Not just this place, but me." Emma smiled, her heart open. "You changed me too," she said. "I was so afraid to trust, but you showed me I could." Their kiss was fierce, a vow sealed under the stars. Nathan slipped a small box into her hand, a key to a studio space, in Wynwood, leased for her art. "For your dreams," he said. Emma laughed, tears falling, and pulled him close. The night ended with salsa music, Clara swaying in her chair as Sofia spun Emma on the plaza. Nathan joined, his moves surprisingly smooth, and the team laughed, the joy infectious. Emma felt whole, her work, her love, her family woven into something unbreakable. Months later, Emma thrived at Whitaker Enterprises, her role expanding. She planned to study in London the following year, Nathan promising to visit. Clara danced, a slow salsa at home, her strength returning. The center became a community hub, its doors open to all. Emma and Nathan faced new challenges, his empire, her ambitions, but their love held firm, built on trust earned the hard way. If this story touched you, it's a reminder. The world may misjudge you, but your heart knows its worth. Sometimes, the greatest love begins with the deepest mistake. Share your story below, your name, your city. Let's celebrate the journeys that shape us, because here in Miami's glow, every misjudged heart can find its home.